What's up, people? Welcome back to Shed Show. It's been a long time, but who cares? Let's get cracking like nothing happened. So this video is about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial that concluded today as I'm filming this. Now, before I make clear who I am convinced is the guilty party and the non-guilty party, I think it's important to remember that this relationship was entered into mutually. Amber Heard is guilty. Guilty. Amber Heard, guilty of all charges. Guilty of defamation. Guilty of doing the exact thing she was lying about him doing. You know, beating up your partner, basically. What is it, IPV? That sounds like a fucking STD. But let me see. She's guilty of intimate partner violence. She's guilty of domestic violence. And she's guilty of a shit ton of perjury. More on that later. If you were just randomly checking out this case, dropping in without any knowledge of it, you could be forgiven for having a real hard time just figuring out what this case is about. Depending on where in the case you dropped in, you might think that Johnny Depp being charged with the crime of being a person who drinks alcohol and takes drugs. The most damning evidence being a photo of Depp asleep on his couch with melted ice cream spilling all over him. Or you might think that Depp is being charged with getting angry and abusing kitchen cabinets, or getting angry that your vindictive, abusive ex-wife has made false accusations and is trying to ruin your life, and venting through text to a friend. Or you might not even realize that Amber Heard is being charged with anything and might think that this case is just about her being the victim of definite abuse that definitely happened to her. And it's like, well, why would she be on trial? You know what I mean? Well, okay, let me break down the case. Amber Heard wrote an op-ed, which is basically like a celebrity shot in a billiards game. A high-profile person, such as a celebrity, just writing something, usually a reaction to something current, gets published in the publication, which in this case was, I'm pretty sure, the Washington Post. So it's right there with all the real news headlines, actual journalism, etc. In this op-ed, she essentially told her story of being the victim of ceaseless and brutal abuse at the hands of her ex-husband, Johnny Depp. Based on this op-ed, Johnny Depp is suing Amber Heard for defamation. He is seeking damages of $50 million. As a reaction, Amber Heard is countersuing, so also suing him for defamation, essentially claiming that Depp is lying about saying that she was lying. And for that, she is seeking damages of $100 million. So, I don't know, Johnny Depp's ask of $50 million is based on lost earnings resulting from Disney cutting ties with him and him not being in Pirates of the Caribbean 8 or whatever. But it's based on something real. Amber Heard asking for $100 million is just based on I don't know, because it's double. Oh, you're gonna sue me? I'm gonna sue you back twice as hard. She's fearless when seeking money. And you know what? She doesn't even care about money. Okay, anyway. And I had no idea that this was even a thing, but both of these suits, the initial and the countersuit, happened together. So that's what we were watching essentially. So I guess because of the initial suit, they refer to Amber Heard as the defendant and Johnny Depp is the plaintiff, but in reality, both sides are essentially the defendant and the plaintiff at the same time. Or I guess they change back and forth depending on who is, giving testimony, or maybe based on which lawyer is doing the questioning. I don't know. They're trying both of these suits at the same time. So yeah, Amber Heard is saying Johnny Depp is a wife beater. He's saying you're a liar. She's saying you're a liar, calling me a liar because you are a wife beater. That's what this case is. I really only just recently began to wrap my head around the reason that lawyers will assist a guilty party. I mean, the lawyer has to know. They have to know, like, if you're guilty or not. Like, if you know that your client is guilty of something just god-awful, like, how can you really try your best and use your craft, your skills, your knowledge to, like, try and help them evade justice? I don't know. I just can't imagine doing it, of course, but that's not what I do, and, like, I have respect for lawyers. I just have a really hard time relating to that, but I'm working on it because there is something honorable in the work. But this case has shown me, like, a new dilemma where it's like essentially two people accusing each other of the same things. Both sides are hiring expert witnesses to, like, prove and disprove the exact same things using the exact same evidence. And so now we have people who are experts with, like, very credible experience and professional distinction, like, basically calling each other liars. But really, something about that makes me feel disappointed. This whole case is, like, not an uplifting experience to watch. I'm not even gonna front. Like, I've mostly been watching it because A, I inexplicably watch things that I don't enjoy. B, Amber Heard is a brazenly depraved, like, unprincipled, deceitful, viperous, like, real life villain. And that's kind of compelling, I guess. And it seems that I'm not alone in seeing her for who she is. Public opinion has already decided, and people aren't really being fooled by her lying. Pretty terrifying villain. Pretty good job. Like, I know that's not what she was going for, but I think she should get a fucking Oscar for this. Except that when she gets the award, she has to let Will Smith walk up and just kidding. So like I said, the trial just ended. Despite public opinion seeming to be decided, I'm not totally confident that the verdict is going to be in Johnny's favor, but we'll see. I guess I'm just getting too used to awful people getting away with awful things. It's so fucked up what she's done. I mean, taking it so far, like, it needs to be stopped. Like, I mean, she was using makeup to make herself look bruised. Like, when she's talking about the makeup she would use to cover those bruises, she calls it a bruise kit and then quickly changes. And a bruise kit is something in film and theater to make bruises, like.
And then if you want to cover up a bruise, you obviously put foundation first, concealer, and then on top of that, I use a bruise kit. Not a bruise kit, it's a theater makeup kit, a color correction kit, but I called it my bruise kit.
And I use this, I think, in opening statement, and it's...
A bruise kit is not to cover up bruises, it's to make bruises. Like, she is guilty. Within this case are two very serious wrongdoings, which are rarely penalized and too often gotten away with, which is one, making false accusations, and two, female on male domestic abuse. Something that really bothers me about fighting against false accusations is that the accused not only have to prove innocence to the accusation, but it seems like they also have to just, like, be extremely upstanding, like, perfect people, which is so wrong. Like, I mean, you can be a flawed person and still be an honorable person, still be an honest person. Like, we are all very flawed. But so much of this trial has just been about Depp's use of alcohol and drugs, which, by the way, Amber Heard also drinks alcohol and does drugs. Like, okay, the guy passed out with ice cream in his lap. So he's a wife beater? Like, what the fuck? Amber Heard is a liar. I'm trying to keep my name calling to a minimum for reasons I might talk about in another video. Someone making false accusations, like, while being so transparently dishonest and, like, just basking in the role of a victim with confidence that everyone will just believe them, it hits a little close to home. I think most of you feel disgusted by this vile human as well. I mean, this woman who on the stand, under oath, pretends to cry as she fucking lies about being a victim of abuse. Like, that's a complete slap in the face of actual victims. And she has just falsely adopted this identity to, like, hurt her ex-husband, get money, and be adored by the public. And by the way, let's talk about her hurting her ex-husband. She would hit him and taunt him for the fact that no one would believe him. I mean, she threw a fucking bottle at him that smashed the top of his finger off. Like, I was not ready to see unblurred photos of that. So gnarly. And the fact that he dipped that finger into paint, oh man. Johnny Depp, you're a legend. And you know what's crazy is the clear emotional, psychological, and, like, physical abuse within the relationship. All her manipulation, all that shit, almost pales in comparison to falsely accusing him of physical and sexual abuse publicly. It's actually insane how a bogus accusation against anyone, famous or not, can literally just ruin their lives. Like, at the very least, it's almost guaranteed to do irrevocable damage. Like, this is a terrifying power that people have, and while this case gets to be fully litigated and investigated, this is not at all something everyday people get to do. Like, don't get it twisted. In our current culture, women can use this with little risk of punishment. It's a free pass for attention, sympathy, power, and respect, whatever you want to get out of it. And it's a way to also absolutely destroy someone that you don't like or feel wronged by, you know, whether you're just that hateful or for one reason or another. And, like, please don't mistake this as a bias, like, against women. There are many sociopaths among us of every gender. I'm just speaking facts. I mean, another fact is that women are way more often the victims of domestic violence as well as sexual violence. And these real victims play a large part in why I am and everyone should be, like, furious at false accusers, you know? But remember that these false accusers have victims of their own. Victims of false accusations face an almost impossible task of repairing their reputation and social standing. I mean, there are basically no laws in place to punish someone for socially destroying a person with false accusations. Like, there doesn't seem to be a crime attached to it, meaning it would have to be dealt with in civil court, not criminal court. And like I said, it costs money to bring a civil suit. Like, not just anyone can do it. By the way, I'm going to tell you something else about civil court that's going to completely ruin your day, but not yet. Not every person that makes a false accusation necessarily intends to, like, inflict the damage that they ultimately do, but those same people are usually too cowardly to step in and stop the momentum and own up to their own dishonesty. So, I mean, even if you just tell a few people that so-and-so did something that so-and-so did not, in fact, do, that's bound to start a rumor. And those rumors are bound to fucking build up momentum, and that rumor is virtually guaranteed to cause permanent damage to someone's life, if not completely ruin it. And if you are someone who has already lied on someone's name and you haven't confessed, just come clean. You gotta come clean. And you can always Start your redemption today. Just tell the truth. Get it off your chest. So now for the very, very sad news that will ruin your day. You might have noticed that Amber Heard, throughout this entire trial, was committing perjury constantly. And many of us have no doubt hoped to see her answer to those crimes in the near future. But I'm so sorry to tell you, not only will she not have to answer to those charges, she will not be charged. Not in the near future, not in the ever future, save some revolutionary changes to the current way things are. Perjury in a civil trial is just literally never punished. Or let me rephrase that and use the word literally more responsibly. Perjury in a civil trial is pretty much basically never punished. So yeah, there's that. And Amber was certainly aware of this, and she was certainly abusing the lack of consequences more than anyone else. But the fact that it just doesn't fucking matter, like either way, really just takes the wind out of my sails. Like, it really does. Anyway, I hope Amber loses this case, obviously, because she is clearly a sociopathic narcissist capable of creating elaborate lies, sticking to them, doubling down. And I mean, these are dangerous qualities. She's a dangerous person, and her being held accountable is extremely important, not only for the victims of her lies, but for actual victims and just for the millions of people that have been following this trial. Making a false accusation is a repugnant act that does significant damage to the victim, and from a wider perspective, makes a mockery of real victims, victims of actual things that actually happened. And for fuck's sake, perjury in civil court needs to be punished. Like, you can't just let lying be allowed in a defamation case. I'm going to leave y'all with what might be considered a hot take, not sure. If someone is found guilty of falsely accusing someone of a sexual crime, that false accuser should themselves be put on the sex offenders list. Let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Look forward to more analysis that you didn't know you needed from the channel you didn't know you wanted. Shed Show. Stay true, stay cool. That's all I got for now.